Welcome to this Tuesday's Brew in a Blether, with a cup of water, a glass of water this time rather than a brew, because they just go cold. I've discovered when I'm doing like a demonstration, they just go cold. Any cups of tea, and then yeah, very cold. Anyway, I'm just going to do my little trick of hopefully setting up, um, having my phone in front of me so I can see what's going on. I can make sure that my hand position is okay. So hopefully, I think there's always a delay, but yes, I can see I am now live. This is good. This is good. Right. So I hope you're all well. And gosh, it's all a bit manic. So what with the student mice for September's Squeak Show, and then doing the Halloween trees kind of little extra, doing
Tuesdays,
oh
Brew in
no,
a Blether.
sorry, I just need to like
Student mice for
cancel.
September's
Oh
Squeak Show,
no dear,
and then
sorry, there'll be all sorts of horrible.
doing the Halloween trees kind of little
How do I
extra
cancel that?
um,
Oh
Tuesdays,
hello.
Brew in a Blether. Sorry, I just
Oh
need
no.
to.
Oh dear. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to watch it and mute it. I wonder whether I can do that. In fact, let me just try turning down the volume, eh? That'll do it. Right, excellent. So, I can see MJ's on the call. Thank you very much. Hello, MJ. Lovely to see you. And Pamela, I believe that you're there too. Hello. Right. Anyway, so yes, so the Halloween trees is a bit of a sort of an extra little a little project that Rachel and I cooked up after the November trees, which I have just sent out an email about. This is for November Squeak Show Mouse. So really, you only know, or you only don't know what October and December mice are like. Can you believe that we're like 3 mice to go? Ah. Anyway, I've also got the proofs, the first set of proofs through for the calendars and the calendar and the cards. So hopefully after a few tweaks, I'll be able to sign off on them, and then they'll get through. And I'm working on lots of other little ideas and plans, and there's just not enough time. Do you know? Do you know? Anyway, it's lovely to be here and lovely to be off camera, apart from my hands. There they are again. And so tonight, now you know how I think it's a superpower of mine that I find other wonderful artists to work with. I'm really very excited whenever I come across somebody who makes wonderful little things, whatever they may be. And on Etsy recently, I found a business called Tinytown Miniatures, and Fran is the woman who runs this. And I bought a few things which I'm going to turn into a special Halloween thing. Look at this. I have to just show you. Isn't this amazing? So it's a little bathtub filled with resin and apples. And if you have duking for apples in, well, wherever you are in the world, whether it's bobbing for apples or duking for apples, but this was something that we used to do in Scotland, where you had to sort of tie your hands behind your back and you had to go face down and try and pick out the apples. So of course there's going to be a few mice who are wanting to have a wee go of this, but I just love it. I think it's really clever. So I got a few of those. So they're going to happen in the well, I'm going to have a couple of little mini events at some point. I should have one by the end of the month, but I haven't decided on a date yet. Anyway, another thing that Fran made is just look at these. Now, I call these windmills. I don't know whether you can see that. It's quite hard to sort of get it in focus. But it's one of these things. It doesn't actually spin, although it looks as though it should be able to. But how cute is that? So I got these from Fran as well, and I've got about, oh, I don't know, about 8 of them, maybe a dozen or so. So I'm going to give them to wee creatures to play with. And tonight I thought I would give this one to an otter, as you do, just in the mood for making an otter tonight. Um, but oh yeah, and I've got a new idea for a range of no, I can't really tell you that. Oh no, there's too many surprises and too many secrets. But I'm coming up with a little a range of mini mice gifts, which are going to be very affordable, and they'll come for all sorts of different events and occasions, and I can't wait to share them with you. It's if you've seen the little mice that I made for the cheese tower, that Emily had asked me to make. Well, I enjoyed so much going back to the original style of mouse that I used to make way back at least 10 years ago, probably more than that. So I've kind of gone back to that old style. And oh, look, okay, you've twisted my arm. I'll show you them. Right, so so these are, look, these are my little sugar mouse mice. I think I'm going to call them sugar mice because they look like the sugar mice that you used to get when you were, well, when I was young. Don't know whether you did or not, but how cute, how cute. So these are going to live in tiny little boxes with a piece of cheese or with a love heart or a slice of cake or whatever, depending on the occasion. And they'll live in like a little matchbox type of thing. And they can be sent really cheaply in the post, and I'll keep them, like, they'll certainly be under £20, so it'll be a lovely little gift idea. So that's something that I've been having lots of fun, and they're just wonderful. So I have made, oh, okay, right, you've twisted my arm again. I'll have to show you them. So these are the ones I've made so far. They all look wonderful together. This one's a glow-in-the-dark one. Got a couple of grey ones, a couple of different shades of brown. There's a little black one in there. So yeah, they're just, and of course they lend themselves to pastel colours as well. So I'm just very much enjoying making them, and I will do a tutorial at some point so you can see how they're made. But, well, not a tutorial, a demonstration anyway, but you know what I mean. But for now, I'm having so much fun because I can just see them running around and nibbling on bits of cheese and things. They're just so much fun. Anyway. Enough. All right, and oh gosh, this is really good actually, because I'm watching myself live on my phone, which is a bit disconcerting, and it's got a delay of, I don't know, about 30 seconds or something, presumably so that I don't say anything too risque. But I can read all your comments as long as I actually remember to look up and look at my phone and read all the comments. So, yes, we've got Lorna's on the call, fantastic, and Tabitha, hello, and Emma is here as well, and Lorna. Do you know, I love these nights. It's always good to see you all. Right. Anyway, without further ado, oh, sorry, just trying to sort out my tools off camera, but I realise then it looks as though I've got a giant arm, which isn't quite the case. Right, otter. So I don't have, this is otter colour, right? There isn't actually a colour of clay that is otter colour. So I make up otter colour by blending 9 grams of the nut brown clay, noisette, I think it's called, and 1 gram of black clay. So this is what I do for every otter that I make. I blend up the clay that I'm going to use. So I shall just do that now. So you see how much I love the otters, because really, you know, I could just make them pale brown, and actually if I do baby otters, I tend to leave them the paler brown. But normal otters they're a bit of a sort of a muddier colour. So that's just what I have to do, basically. And you know, another thing, just going back to the sugar mouse. So thinking about these, like wee creatures that live in tiny boxes, I'm going to see if I can come up with other designs for other wee creatures, and the one which I thought would work very well is a badger. Not a honey badger for those in the States, but for a badger. So I really like the idea of coming up with some very simple designs, but they're so cute and they can just live in a box. And, you know, for example, so it could be a teacher's gift. So it would be a little mouse with an apple, for example, in it. So each one would have a little accessory of some sort, just to celebrate whatever was going on. And I could also print off messages, you know, like bespoke messages on the outside. I mean, there's just, do you know, have I ever mentioned that I've just got so many ideas? So there's just so many things to do. Just as well that I'm going to have enough to keep me going and keep me busy once the Squeak Show is finished. And we're just three mice to go, as I think I said at the beginning, which I probably did, and I'm probably what's the word? Repeating myself. That's the one. Right. Okay, so I've pretty much blended that now. So as I say, every otter that I make gets blended specially, but because I'm using exactly the same proportions for it, so I know that 9 grams of noisette clay and 1 gram of black clay, it means that any scrap that I have left over, like that bit, which I'll use for the paws, it'll be the same shade. So that works out pretty well, actually. So now this wee otter has to be blowing has to be blowing the windmill to make it go round, even though it can't. So I'll be making him with his mouth will be a little bit open, just the way actually that the little birthday cupcake mice for May, they were blowing out the candle. So yeah, so I'll make him like that. So just now I'm just going to form the body. Have I made an otter? I can't remember if I've made an otter during a demonstration or not. I'm sure I must have. Surely, maybe. When I get round to setting the date for this month's event, shop event, and it'll just be a mini one. There won't be very many creatures in it this month, but I will have the little picnic mouse, and I've also I'm going to be doing a couple of librarian creatures, a bit like the student creatures, but with different books. So, aye. So at some point, but like it is the 21st of September already. So when am I going to find the time to do this? I'm not too sure. Anyway, so I've now rolled it into a ball. So it's now all uniform colour. So all my otters start off like this. It's wonderful. Right. So the head and the neck get formed first of all. They're quite a long body. And then I form the tail. And that's just kind of pinching it out to begin with, so that I've got enough clay for the tail before I start on the haunches, because it'll be a standing up otter, of course. So just stretching him up tall, because otters, like Steve, now if any of you have been following, Melissa Mouser has found this amazing page which follows the antics of Steve the Otter, which is just the best name for an otter, let's be honest. So yeah, I think we should have, I think she suggested that it was, sorry, squirrel moment. Oh, and wait till you see November. Anyway, no. Anyway, look, I really am, oh goodness, right. Steve the Otter, she suggested in a recent post that Steve should make a guest appearance on one of the Brew and the Blethers. So perhaps this is Steve's little ambassador. He's sending one of his little clay minions to come along and play with us instead. So what I'm shaping the body here, just making sure that it's right, as right as it can be. I've kind of made sort of slight triangular shape for wherever his legs are going to be, and he's going to be leaning back so he can blow the windmill properly anyway. Oh, and I'm going to look up and have a look and see who else has commented and is on the call. So MJ, you like the sugar mice idea? They are really cute, I have to say, and they look better in a crowd, which is going to be a bit dangerous, really. I can just imagine a rogue band of sugar mice roaming the streets of Rochdale at night. Where does my brain go? Anyway, enough of that. So, so Anne-Marie, you don't think I've made an otter live? I didn't think I had, I have to say. I've done, guinea pigs, mice, a chick, I'm sure I did an Easter chick, hedgehog, penguin, anybody else that I've done? Can't remember. Anyway, right, yes, Lorna, so you like the sugar mice were not a hint for December. No, nothing like that. No, just another idea. Just yet another idea. Goodness, it's I love it. I love that there are so many ideas, and I'm sort of planning. Well, I'd never plan really, but if I see something that I think could work, then I will sort that out at the same time as I'm sorting out lots of other things as well. Right, I'm now going to mark the haunches. This is his legs, and that's just because he's sitting up on his haunches, I should say. So I'm just using, again, I think it's a doll maker tool, but who knows, it may just be a clay shaper, but it's one of my trusty ones and I'd be kind of lost without it. So just blending so that the line isn't too what's the word? Sharp. So it looks a bit more natural, I suppose, as natural as a 2-inch otter will look. And then I've got to try and get it matching on the other side so he doesn't look too lopsided. Now, I think I'm still okay position-wise with the camera. If there's any problems or... Well, actually, I didn't even ask about the sound. I'm kind of just guessing that you can... Polar bear, you're right. I've made a polar bear as well. Thanks, Anne-Marie. Yeah, is the sound okay? Volume okay? Position of camera okay? Me blethering okay? Probably not the latter. Squirrel moments galore. Goodness me. Right. Okay. And this is where you start to see some of their personality coming out, because he's slightly listing to one side and I really like that. I just love to see what they, how they want to look. Again, I'm just using my fingertips just to blend the clay into more of a natural shape. And then what I can do, you see, I don't know whether you can see that, but he's slightly tilting to one side. Maybe he's a bit drunk. Maybe a little drunken otter. Anyway, so and now I just sort of push his haunches in, his legs in a little bit so that they are closer to the body. There you go. Good stuff. I like this otter. Now I've had his tail I usually have his tail slightly, or I usually have the tails slightly curving round to one side. And I also need to make sure that they are indented on either side. Again, it's all just done with the fingertips. The good thing about this clay, I think I've said before that some of at the moment, the batches of sparkly white clay is so hard to work with because it's so soft. Whereas in previous batches, it's been wonderful. It's been nice and firm. So I'm very glad to say that the blend of the black and the brown clay does come up with it's a nice consistency to work with. I think that's probably the best way that I can say it. So I'm now just going to cut out his paws, and these are just with I'll just roll it on what's it called, my pasta machine, so that they are of the same thickness, therefore they will be the same size. And I have to say, if you do work with clay at all, and if you need any sort of consistency, the cutters are just the best way to go. It doesn't matter. I mean, sometimes I'll use different sizes for specific things, or different shapes, specific shapes for specific things. So that's a mouse ear. That's a mouse. But sometimes I'll just use the cutters so that I've got the right amount of clay. So for example, that's a sitting mouse tail size, whereas the bigger one is a standing mouse size, tail. So yeah, so the paws are obviously not going to stay like that, but that's them all cut to size anyway. Right, this is Fimo Soft. What colour is it? Let's see. Sahara. So I use this colour for the chops and his markings, his paler markings round his cheeks, his chins, and down into his front. I mean, I did study a lot of otters. I mean, it's such a hardship, the things that I do for you guys. But I did study the otters a lot just to find out all the markings and all the rest of it. So what I will do first of all is cut out his chops, his wee cheeks, which again, thickest setting on the pasta machine. And then I use one of the Kemper cutters just to get the smallest size, and I'll press this. Oh, and thank you, Anne-Marie, for confirming that everything's working okay for you. I know that you've had one or two issues before with the volume and things breaking up, and I'm using my phone, I'm using my phone data at the moment for this, so fingers crossed it all holds firm. Our new neighbours are lovely, and I haven't got to know them well enough for me to say, can I borrow your Wi-Fi? One day I'll do that. Right, I'm just getting his bottom chin out. So I've put the clay through on a thinner setting so it doesn't stick out so much. and I think actually it's the middle setting, because their mouths are a bit wider than some, you know, for example, what other creatures do I do with chops like this? Oh yeah, I suppose like the cats that I do, the wee fatty cats that I do, they have a pointy chin, but these ones, he's got more of a rounded face and chops. So that was just a wee bit of liquid clay. The chops are sideways, and now I just need to put on a little bit for his nose. And all along he's just sitting there. I know he's not looking at me, really, not quite yet. He will be soon. I'll just move that clay over there. And this is a tiny dot of clay to add to his nose. And hopefully, well, you won't be able to see it very well, I don't think, but just tidy up, because I'm working with a paler clay and darker clay, and he can just sit and rest for the time being. And now, first things, before I put on the eyes or anything like that, I give him his bib and his markings. And I know there are many polymer clay artists out there who use paints, and I'm sure, I mean, if I haven't said this to you before, I'll be amazed, but I just love the depth of colour that you can get by just using self-coloured clays. So I always use, I think the only time I've ever used paint was when I was doing, you know, when I used to do dog sculptures, and I will go back to them. Maybe that's next year's plan. Who knows? But I remember doing one dog sculpture for an old greyed muzzled dog, and I used a little bit of paint just to get the whiteness of the muzzle. So if the day ever comes when I make Zeus, a wee Zeus, because it hasn't happened yet, although, did I tell you that I'm going back on I'm going to do another sculpting course next year? It's been cancelled for 2 years, of course. But I'm going down to Devon in May next year. Hopefully everything will be back to normal. And I'm going to be doing a dog sculpture, so a specific one. So last time I just did a specific dog sculpture, I should say. Last time I did a generic dog sculpture, but this time I'm going to do Zeus. That's my plan anyway. We shall see how it goes. Right, what I'm doing with this, I've just cut out a diamond. It's on the thinnest setting. The clay, I've rolled it out on the thinnest setting, but it's still quite thick. So it means that I can actually tease it out. So it's very, very light touch. Otherwise it'll just tear. But it means that I can kind of just expand this to a decent marking, right? So that's quite a lot bigger than the original. That was the original diamond, if you can see that, and now it's proper otter marking shaped. That's the technical term, don't you know? Right, so again, just tidying it up a bit. And then I'm going to just cut along the top, because otter markings, the cheeks, they have paler cheeks and a dash down their fronts. So this will be the top of his cheek line, and then his nose will go on top of that. Right. So then it's a question of just placing that, making sure there are no air bubbles. And then I'm just rolling it a little bit to get the first adherence, you know, to make sure that it adheres properly. And we have Rachel's here, has joined us as well. Hello, Rachel. Lovely to see you here too. Nikki's here as well. Hello. I know, Zeus. I know. Do you know, I've got Enrique, bless him. He created for my laptop a collage of all the photos. You know, my favourite photos of Zeus. So that's my screensaver. So, and my what do you call it? The background, the backdrop that you get on your laptop. Wallpaper? I think it's called wallpaper. So yeah, so Zeus is with me every day. He's never far away. Right, here we go. Oh, now he's going to be blowing, isn't he? That's fine. So I'm not putting his face on yet. I'm not putting his chops on yet, but I need to measure up where his eyes are going to go. So you can see he's just starting to come to life now. This is wonderful. I love it when they're starting just to, you can see their wee characters appearing. Just realised actually I never cut out a little disc for his ears. I may have to do that thinner. Anyway, so what I'm going to do now is just mark where his eyes are going to go. So this not only means that I can make sure that they're lined up properly, and now I've got to take off his chops very carefully because sometimes it sticks on. So yes, so not only does it show me that I've got the right sort of angle, the right position for the eyes, but it also acts as a pilot hole for the eyes. So here we go again. This is where I try desperately not to throw everything everywhere. And I have to come down very close, so hopefully you won't see my head in the way. Apologies if you can. And just measuring to get there. Yeah, they're pretty good. So, right, and then I'm using my bent nose pliers. They're just easier to position it. Now, because the clay is sticky. If you work with polymer clay, you'll know it doesn't take much for a bead or dirt or muck or flob or anything to stick to it. Not that I'm bitter. But also, so when I'm putting on the eyes, I make that work for it, because the last thing you want to do is to get the ends of the pliers. You don't want them causing marks beside the eyes. So by just lightly touching them, they look bizarre, okay, just forgive his appearance just now, but because I can then use the little ball shaper or clay shaper, whatever, I don't know quite what this is called. I think it's a fondant tool, but basically that means that I can push it in without any extra marking. So I'm not using my fingers for pushing in the eyes, and that also forms the eye socket as well. So now he still looks weird. I know. It won't be for much longer though. It's all right. In fact, I'll give him his chops now. Normally I wait a little bit, but I think just for the interests of time, because it's coming up for past now. I know that I did start blethering off quite a lot. So stay with me if you can. If I don't get time to finish him off completely tonight, I will do so in the morning, and then you will be able to meet the wee otter. He's quite a grumpy soul, this one. Love it. Right, and I love that he's actually leaning back quite a bit. Do you see that lovely curve that he's got? So this will mean that it'll be easier for him to be holding the windmill close enough to him so that his paws will actually hold the windmill out. Yeah, because I think with the mouse, I'm going to make a few of these obviously, and when I do the mouse, he may just have to be standing, holding with it, so he's running with it, rather than actually blowing it. Because that's another thing, I used to do that too, you would just run around like a mad thing, holding up this windmill and just letting it spin round. It was, it was more innocent times, but so much fun. So yes, it was good. Anyway, I'm just shaping the paws now. I'll try and do this quickly. So I'm just nicking off at an angle, about 45-degree angle. Oops, sorry about the. That's just so it will sit nicely under the body. A little bit of this extender medium that I don't know quite what it is, but it works a treat for securing raw clay to raw clay. I'm nearly finished with this jar actually. There's not an awful lot left, but hey, I'll get another one at some point. Right, in fact I probably do have one. I'm a great believer, how some people want to just let things run on. Enrique's like this. You know, with petrol, for example. Yes, the car can do it, and he'll coast into the petrol station on fumes. Whereas, you know, my gauge, if it gets to uh, like like 3/4 of a tank full, I'll be like, nope, gotta fill it up, gotta fill it up. So I'm a bit like that with all my supplies as well. I usually have spares of most things, just in case I run out. I'm going to sign him now, because that means that I'm not turning him upside down when he's holding things. So that's the signature. Gives me a chance just to finish up his paws as well. And then I will just quickly give him his forepaws, toes even. And what's good, because I use the blunt end of my scalpel to make the toes, because that actually helps. It not only does it define the toes really well, but it actually makes them slightly squarer. So actually it's more of a realistic otter tail. Yeah, he's coming on, he's coming on. Now I'm going to have to, I'm just tidying up his chops to begin with. So he is going to be blowing with his chops, so I need a little 2 3/4 millimeter knitting needle, basically. Right, and then it's just making sure, putting it between the chops. There you go. And all of a sudden he's singing. He's a singing otter. So it's so, I love that less is more. It's just, it's the way it works, and it doesn't take much. As I say to anybody who asks me, you know, how do I do this, then I'll say that polymer clay is a very easy material to use, and it's a very hard material to use well. I think that's a fair comment. So yes, to make it, oh sorry, I'm just rolling out a thinner sheet, because otter ears are tiny. They're really very small, presumably because they spend so much time underwater. So what I'm going to do, this is on the number 4 setting, I think. So I'm just going to give that a very light pressing on the end of the ball shaper. I'm sure somebody will come up with a name for it at some point. Anyway, so that's just sort of giving it a slight convex shape. And then I need to cut it in half as exactly as I can. There we go, that'll do. A little bit of extender medium. Look, it's tiny. And then a slight pinch, and it's not a pinch, it's just a slight movement to bring the ends in. And then that's one ear, and just the same on the other one. So again, just a slight bringing together of the fingers. I don't want to say pinching because it's not a pinch maneuver. And then it's important to have them as even as possible. Same height, same angle. And I will just blend in the clay. This is another good way of shaping the ears and also making a stronger join between the ears and the body. So this is my small clay shaper, which I think actually this material, it's got it's a flexible rubber tip, and I think it's mainly used for oil paints, possibly. I might be wrong about that, but it's perfect for clay. But the handle does melt, basically, which is why with the clay there's obviously something in the polymers of the clay that just causes it just to be not very durable on the paintbrush handle. That's what I'm trying to say. Right. Oh, there you go. Oh, this one. I love this one's expression. He's having fun. There you go. Right, now, I shall give him his, oh, he's got some flob on his bib. Let's just make sure that's away. This is actually another reason for doing an otter tonight, because it's just a bit easier to, I think I'm going to call this one Steve in honour of Melissa and Steve the Otter and all the things that Steve gets up to. Anyway, the brown clay is much easier to work with than white, or else I would be spending all my time just sitting, cleaning it all, going, there's a bit of flob, there's a bit of flob, there's, and that's not any good. So now with this, because he's going to be holding his the windmill out at a distance, or a slight distance anyway, he's not going to be wearing it on his face, put it that way. So that means that I've got to kind of judge where, how his paws are going to curve, put his fingers on first of all, because if I try and mark these fingers once he's holding the windmill stem, if that's the right word, then well, let's just say it won't work. It won't be pretty. It'll disfigure, deform. Not quite sure what the right word is. So, same trick, back of the scalpel, and that just makes a better groove, basically. So the idea, and these are, when I do, I'm trying to think, what's the other thing? What's the thing which I do where I have whatever the mouse or whatever it is holding, it's like at a distance, it's away from the body. What I'd want to have a little bit stuck to the body, but it needs to be at an angle. You see that? Because of course that would be the realistic way, that if he was blowing the windmill, making it go round. Internal consistency, my dears, that's what I need to do. Right, that's not bad. And it helps because he's bending back, you see, so there's a good distance there. So what I need to do now is a little bit of glue, and that will just, I've got a groove now in his tummy, and this glue, this is Sobo, which I think I got from the States. I found it to be really good for gluing accessories onto the creatures, as opposed to the wet clay on wet clay, which is what's better used for that is the extender medium thing. So the good thing about this clay is that it dries clear as well. So although he looks as though he's got a mucky tummy now, it will dry clear. Right, now I also need to prepare his paws, because he's going to be holding a metal rod. So I just need to create a little groove where his paws are going to go. Excuse me, frog in the throat. It does happen. And now, extender medium, roughen the clay a little bit. So this is going to be on the outside of this is his paws coming along to hold on to his, do you know, I really can't multitask. I am sorry. I must just sound as though I am blethering beyond belief. I do apologise. Actually, that's what I need to do. That's why the glue is still out. So this then just needs, it dries very quickly. That's one of the reasons I like it so much. But that means that you have to work quickly. So I'm just a little bit in the groove that I've just made. Oh, you can see this okay. I think I'm still okay as far as the angle goes. Right, and then this is the fun part, because I can't basically apply any pressure. There we go. I've got, you know, the natural inclination would be to push it all in, but that would mean that the windmill would go too close towards Steve's mouth, which is no good. So I'm just lightly applying some pressure to bring it away from his mouth and pushing it into his paws, which have a welcoming piece of glue. Right, and then just lightly blending in his arms, and a little bit of wet wipes do help with that. There you go. Let's clear up that a little bit. And I know I'm a little late. Oh my goodness, it's 22. But there we go. We have Steve the Otter having fun with a beautiful windmill made by Fran of Tinytown Miniatures. So yeah, there are going to be other wee creatures will be playing with these, and I'll show you the rest of them. I haven't taken them out of the bag yet, but there's some brightly coloured ones and some pastel coloured ones, and they are just really, really adorable. And of course, I've got the ducking for apples as well, which I'm really looking forward to making. You can just imagine a wee mouse sitting at the edge of that and bobbing down and having fun with that. Anyway, that's me. I'll tidy him up in the morning. There's still a wee, you know, there's still some marks to get rid of him, and just to make sure his ears are okay, and just a wee bit of faffing. And I'll post a picture of him in the morning once he's fully baked. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for hanging around. MJ, thank you for saying. It's amazing how I can work with those teeny tiny pieces. Yeah. Yeah, it's, I don't know how I do it either. So I try not to question it too much. I think it helps. I've got perfect vision about 6 inches from my face. So that's why I spend so much time actually working really, really close, like there. That's what I'm trying to do. Right. Excellent. Thank you very much, and I shall see you in the morning. Okay, have fun. Bye.